This way,
a group of 5 heavily armed and nearly identical-looking men said as they waded to us. Each one carried a weapon that was clearly mass-produced, but just as clearly made from portal ore, which likely meant that the bullets inside were also of harder material than simple earthly metals. My father took the lead, and the trip was extremely short, as Echo 5 had said. The only reason I hadn't seen the rocky hill rising out of the sludge from the entrance was because it was behind the portal and multiple petrified trees. The step from the sludge to dry land felt amazing, but the climb out of the sludge and up the steep slope to an entrance made me glad we didn't have bags of sledges and wedges to lug up. I turned on my 3-dimensional camera and then took Sparkle Legion's high-grade lightstone, currently on loan, out of my pocket. Placing it in the holster, I entered the cave. To my surprise, it wasn't necessary, and I hurried to shut it off. The walls glowed with a smooth, verdant light. The source? Thick banks of glowing moss. I moved closer and studied the stuff. It was like a carpet, but despite the amount, it looked familiar. I reached out a hand and felt the same texture as the slimy algae outside, except this one was dry and clearly growing larger. I hurried to catch up with the Mirage Hunters when I realized they had continued moving as I had stopped to take in the sights. My dad nodded at me as I jogged up beside him. "Since we only have the 2 good lightstones, this is kinda nice." "We'll all probably be in a single chamber, though," I responded. My dad shook his head. "Nah, this portal's low-ranked. So the caverns—" He cut off as we entered the first cavern. What he had been about to say was evident. It was more of a widening in the tunnel than a true cavern. In that widening space, crystals carpeted only the floor, and while the walls held a few, they were only poking through between large patches of moss. In fact, I should have already noted another difference in the mine. The hallways, which in other portals had been covered with crystals, were entirely clear of them.
"What have you here?"
one of the heavily armed men said. We all looked at Dave, since he was the newest, but at his confused expression I recalled he hadn't mined before. With a voice I'd worked on for social media, I confidently explained, "Okay, we've got a specialist trainee here. What do you think about leaving a second guard here with us for a short while? I'll show our new specialist the ropes, and then move to catch up." The man who spoke, and I assumed was the leader, motioned at a subordinate with a hand.
"Jack, you escort the cocky kid. The rest of us will head further in."
I guess my confident voice needed some work. Willem, my dad, held Snickers back with the help of hands, even as Jared chuckled out loud and mouthed "cocky kid" at me. Family, I thought.